Yo, yo, get up, nah I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Well, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight on this lovely Thursday evening? It is your man, the Bishop, in the house, and we're going to kick this thing off tonight with this episode of Monsters of the Madhouse by Chicago Sports Podcast. Of course, your host, myself, the Bishop, along with my co-host, Mr. D Nice, along with Kedz the Canuck. Welcome, Kedz. How you doing, my brother? We Sammo was going to join us tonight, but unfortunately he was unable to. But that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. So tonight we're going to break down the top 5 reasons the Chicago Bears General Manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson, along with a record-breaking, I'm going to repeat that, record-breaking 150 NFL reps attended Ohio State's Pro Day on March 26th of 2025. Look, I don't know what they got going on at the Ohio State, but to have a record-breaking 150 NFL reps in attendance must mean that they got a pretty tight class of individuals that's looking to come into this draft and be able to make somebody's roster. But tonight we're going to focus on the top 5 college prospects at Ohio State Pro Day for the Chicago Bears. But before we get ready to get things started, I want to first throw out there what I want to do, something a little different. We're going to introduce each player in a certain way. We're going to start off with the wide receiver, Emeka Agudaba. I think I botched up the last name.
Egbuka. But hey,
Abuka.
Egbuka.
Thank you, kids. Thank you, D
I do what I
Nice.
can.
But before we get ready to jump into this young man's stats and everything, I want to kick it off with a little something. So, tracks, hit it.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Not wanting to cooperate with us tonight, fellas. Is that what we have?
Oh, that's
Real
real
good.
good.
Yeah. I'm just wanting we get a little buffer in here. Come on now. But while we're waiting on that to go ahead, look, let's go ahead and get started. Man. Let's talk about this young man.
Ain't nobody,
We're gonna kick this off in rotation.
stopping me.
D Nice, I want you to give me your.
Here we go.
Ain't nobody stopping me. Ain't nobody stopping me. Ain't nobody
D Nice, go ahead and kick it off, brother.
stopping me.
Give me your takes. First of all, before we. While that's playing in the background, we're gonna talk about this young man. He plays wide receiver. His height is 6'1", weighs in at 210 pounds. His stats for the 2024 season was 85 receptions for 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, and his pro day performance showcased elite route running, strong hands, and deep threat capability, catching the attention of multiple teams. This is definitely a young man that is going to add something to somebody's wide receiver room, preferably ours, of course. But in the process of all of that, let's jump into it. Let's talk about this young man's strengths and what he could add to our roster here at the Chicago Bears. So, D Nice, go ahead and kick that off for us, please.
Well, listen, Emeka Egbuka has been a very explosive player the last few years at Ohio State. There's no surprise that Ohio State has a star receiver coming out. That seems to be a trend for them. in the
Very true.
last few years, and he's just one of the many. Very explosive guy, can play all three positions at the wide receiver position. Very good hands, very explosive. Um, if the Bears draft him, of course, we have room for him. He can play some slot. He can play, outside. Very versatile guy. I don't think we'll be in the running for him, but you never know. The draft is funny sometimes, but he'll be a welcome addition to the Bears in my book.
Can't argue with that. I'll be honest with you. You're bang on. I don't think the Bears are really hunting for a wide receiver early in the draft. And let's be real, Emeka Egbuka is going to go relatively early in this draft. It's just facts. 6'1", 202, big old hands, good good arm length to sort of get separation away from a defender. I like the kid a lot. Over 1,000 yards rushing this season. I'm pretty sure his last season was very similar in numbers. High caliber wide receiver prospect, but that's just the tip of the iceberg at Ohio State.
I mean, man, 1,200 yards receiving, man, and 12 touchdowns. Considering the type of schedule that those guys play, man, that's some production, definitely. Whether it be our wide receiver room or anybody's wide receiver room, he's going to definitely add something to it. And the fact that he is so versatile, um, if he's available, and this is the thing, I think for me with the Bears at this point, because of what they've done in free agency, I want them. I know that we still have some holes to fill, and everybody is real big on us taking a running back. But I'm wondering if the Bears may even just look at it and say, "Hey, we're going to pick the best player at that time on our board," and he may as well meet, depending on how he's graded. Who knows? I don't think he's going to be I don't think he would be a first round pick for us. But with that being said, I'm going to circle it back around. What round do you think he would be picked up in, um, Kedz?
I'm thinking he's probably top 3 wide receiver on everybody's board. Right? That's sort of my thought. So I'm going to assume, for the most part, if you're looking for a wide receiver in the first round, he's going to be on your list. I don't see him getting much further than the second round, and I mean early. D-Nice, what
Okay.
do you think? You're muted, brother.
Hello,
There you
Got
go.
you.
can you hear
There
me?
you go.
I
Yes,
We got
sir.
you.
listen. I somehow was muted, but can you repeat it again? Because
No,
you were going in
I'm
and
just
out.
curious. Yeah, I'm just curious to know where do you think he's going to fall in the draft? You think he's going to be a first round pick or maybe second round? Because I'm just curious if he's still on the board and Bears are taking the best available player based on their grade. Is it a
This
possibility?
this
And if so, what round?
this is Ibuka.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I don't think he gets past the second round. Honestly, this guy, at the beginning of the year and late the year before, he was projected to be a top 10, top 15 pick. So his production fell off because they had another added player, so, and then a quarterback change as well. So he had some things that changed for him to kind of drop his production a tad bit, but he's still a very explosive guy. And for the scouts that had their eye on him last year and the year before, I don't think it's changed. I think they hope he falls in their hands, and I think those teams that's picking mid to late first round is chomping at the bit to get him. I don't think we're that got those guys though.
Well, now you mentioned that his production kind of dropped a bit this season.
Yeah, because he was looked at as the number one guy. Not last season, but the season before, he was the guy. And with Harrison Jr. and Cal McCord. He was
Mm.
the number two receiver over there.
Okay.
and his production dropped. It dropped not much, but it dropped a little bit
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it
come on,
had.
man. You talking about 1,200 yards receiving, brother. So I mean, how much?
Yeah, nah, but he was a guy. He didn't see as many touches as he did, the year prior.
That's
If my
funny.
if my if my memory serves me correctly.
That's funny. With him even at staying at 1,200 yards, it's a dip. That's a dip
Yeah,
I can accept. That is an
Yeah.
absolutely.
acceptable dip,
I
bro.
mean, like I said, it's a good dip because they added more firepower, and they also, they had those two guys in the backfield. They became a much versatile team, Ohio State, which I think
Okay.
is one of the other reasons why they won the whole thing.
Okay. Okay. Well, cool, man. I'm curious. I want to see exactly where he's gonna end up, man. I would love to. I'm gonna be honest, man. Um, I would like to see him in a Bears uniform myself. I just think we need more depth, and we need more weapons in our wide receiver room.
Yeah, I believe
So
a team like the Saints, because the uncertainty with what's his name? Uh the uncertainty with their number one receiver over there because he had a lot of concussions. It's the Saints. It could be a possibility that he ends up with the Saints. But he's gonna, like I said, mid to late, he's gonna be a player that teams are gonna be salivating over.
Most
well,
definitely, bro. Most definitely.
yeah. I mean, so Keds, let's
Yeah.
talk about that real. Let's talk about this wide receiver room really quick. Um, with being able to let's just say he was added to that wide receiver room, what would he essentially add? What do you place him in terms of, and then and how does that affect Tyler Scott as
Oh
well?
man, where'd you go? Why'd you do that now? So here's how this looks. The real upside is how versatile the other two receivers are, more so than anything else. Uh, DJ Moore can play in and out of the slot, no problem. No question. I believe that Rome Odunze can do the same thing. He has a speed element that sort of adds a little bit more to the slot.
Hmm.
I think he can do it too. So because those two guys are so versatile, it really doesn't matter who you bring and put in that WR3 position. What Where things go crazy is when you put you know a potential Pro Bowl Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver in that role, then he gets zeroed in on. Right, he's your number one guy as opposed to the two guys on the outside, and that's what we just experienced. So you bring on an Emeka Egbuka, he sits in the slot potentially, or maybe he's out wide, or you can just get funky with it and you know what I mean, switch these guys in
Yeah,
and
switch it
out.
up.
It would make very little difference, but I think it would work out relatively well. Facts though, I don't think we're gonna do a wide receiver thing. But like if we did, the impetus on our guy like Tyler Scott is in the best position right now he's gonna be in. All right, let's put this out there now. So the two guys who are in front of Tyler Scott for WR3 are guys he can actually compete against. Last season, there was no bloody way he was getting on the field. It was just
Right.
that simple. He's not going to beat out that again potential Hall of Fame. What heck? The two guys on the outside couldn't beat him out for touches. Tyler Scott just wasn't going to get. He just wasn't going to get to where he needed to get to.
Right.
But this time around, he can fight against a Zacchaeus for a couple of snaps here and there. I think he might get the ability to get back in on the field, and maybe he might work his way in by way of competition and get some snaps. But it's an uphill battle for Tyler Scott. Let's be real about it.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, I just had to throw that in there, man. Because you got you have a lot of people who have been chiming in here and there about Tyler Scott and just what the future holds for him. And for me, I like the kid, but at the same time, hey man, you got to get in where you fit in at this point in time. Um, and what is going to really come down for him is how well do you know this route tree now? and how sure are your hands? Because that was the issue, really. It was the hands. The kid's got the speed. The fact that he's a converted running back to receiver means contact is not an issue for him. It really came down to running that route tree and his hands. Now, if
Mm.
he's worked on his hands to where, he's more sure with regard to balls thrown his way that he's going to be able to catch those passes, then absolutely, I want to see him stay in the room. But if them hands aren't better, then there's just not going to be a place for him in that wide receiver room, you know. But again, I'm hoping for the best, honestly, because I like to see the kid get his opportunity, especially in Ben Johnson's offense, because with his speed and his versatility as well, I think he could be used in a way that Ben Johnson can get some value from Tyler Scott.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. I think the writing's
Go
on the
ahead.
wall. I think the writing's on the wall for Tyler Scott. Especially, the Bears choosing a receiver at any round they choose one in. The writing's on the wall. I think it's over. I mean, I think they'll give him a shot to really compete because I think that's something that any athlete needs. They need the competition to kind of sharpen the tools. Still, iron sharpens iron. But I
Mhm.
think if the Bears choose another wide out, I think they're telling Tyler Scott everything he needs to know.
Especially a wide out within the first 3 rounds.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah,
Oh
yeah. If it's in
yeah.
if it's in the
Yeah,
first 3
man.
rounds, that's really saying, hey, you were on. We put you on check, bro. You're on
Yeah.
check, chess. We put you on check. You're on check, Tyler.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Go
because
move.
you still have to think that the Bears are gonna have some other wide receivers coming in. So
Right.
you know, guys gonna be competing for this spot, man.
Well, it is what it is, man. I just threw him in there just for a little sprinkle, but we're gonna keep it right
Mm.
on moving because we are talking about the Ohio State Pro Day. So with that being
Mhm.
said, we're gonna now touch on the second player that I want to see highlights on, and that's going to be a running back by the name of Mr. Quinshon Judkins. So can we get the highlights for Mr. Judkins, please? Tracks, hit it.
I think that was all.
I think
I
we
think
ran the
that
whole
yeah,
clip.
he ran the whole
Did he?
thing.
See,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Me and Track's gonna have to duke it out, man. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
duke it out.
Oh, here it is. Look, we're gonna. This kid's nice, man.
Yeah, I like this kid, man. Myself,
Judkins is
I
nice.
actually picked him over Mr. Genty, but I didn't want to get into a fight with my co-host.
Oh no, no,
So
no, no, no. I mean, I
so
like what I see.
I succumbed to my
Nah, I
co-host.
mean, listen, man. If you feel it, feel it. I mean, it's not necessarily a fight, but I like Judkins as well. He's a former SEC back. You know, he's a faster. He could be a faster version of David Montgomery, but I don't think he has
That's a good
the
comp.
That's a
the
nice comp. I
vision.
was getting. Oh man, kids,
Fellas,
you was thinking like I was thinking.
fellas.
Yes. What's going on, Tracks?
Hey guys, you guys are killing it. Great job. This guy, I I got a pro comp for you guys.
Who?
Edgerrin James.
Oh,
Okay.
Watch
Uh,
watch him catch. I think he can catch.
oh yeah, he definitely can.
There's,
well, yeah,
there's not
we not
much.
now. Yeah, I've seen he's got hands. He's definitely got hands to be able to catch. Absolutely.
There's not much he can't do. He can catch a football. His acceleration is a thing, right? Like he can accelerate. Hard to catch him when he does. He's very patient. I'm gonna say he might be too patient. You know what I mean? Like my
Uh-huh.
comp for him was actually my comp for him is Le'Veon Bell.
Ooh.
That's my comp for him.
What?
That's not
I'm
a
gonna
bad
pull.
comp either.
He's
That's not a
smaller
bad
than
comp.
Le'Veon, but
Yeah.
that's my comp for him.
Well, the fact that this young man put up 1,400 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, and average, he's literally 5.9 yards per carry. That's a load.
Yeah.
That's
Guys,
definitely a load. What I want to see is,
hey,
at the point of contact.
I just looked his pro comp up. Guess what? I'm not far off. It's
Who?
Joe Mixon and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see Kareem Hunt.
I can see
I can
Kareem
see
Hunt
the
too.
Kareem Hunt. I don't know about the.
Yeah,
Joe
man,
Mixon.
Edrin,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
not sure
big.
about the.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt.
It's a
I
little
can see the
early
Kareem
though.
Hunt.
And honestly,
Oh,
fellas,
he
I'm gonna
faster
be
than
honest.
Kareem.
What about Joe Mixon? You guys see Joe Mixon?
No.
No.
No, I
Joe,
don't.
I think Joe's a little bigger, well, taller, but Joe Mixon's fast, man. That guy's
Yeah,
fast. I mean, I'm gonna stick with the Monty, man. It looks similar, man. The way he hits the hole, the way he kind of peels off guys who trying to
Ooh, Joe
tackle him and
Mixon's
ain't
six
wrapping
foot
up.
one. This guy ain't 6'1", is he?
no, he's
No.
5'11".
No,
Dude, that's a bad. No, well, a couple inches. That ain't bad. Hey,
Hey,
I
that's enough.
I just googled it. That's Google.
Well, I don't always trust Google,
No.
me personally.
nah, but I
But
mean,
I
even
mean, the kid,
we can
man.
all be right.
I mean, there's no. I don't think there's a right or wrong with regard to this young man.
Right.
I think, more importantly for me, again, it's really about being able to break tackles. You know, make sure that he keep his feet moving. At the point of contact. So that's going to be what we're going to be able to really be able to judge him on. So to try to do a comp with him right now, I would much rather us revisit this after the season. If he, let's say, if he happens to become a Bear, to be able to say, okay, now based off of his season, who do you compare him to? Based
Yeah.
off his
Hmm.
based off his level of production.
Hey, Keith.
Yes, sir.
I want to say something real quick about Josh Simmons.
Go right
That's
ahead.
That's Darius' best friend. So try not to say anything bad about that guy. He really likes him. He said that was it Tyleek? I got it backwards, Darius. I said it last night on the show. That Tyleek Williams. He said they asked him. They said, "Who is the toughest offensive lineman that you've ever been against?" And he said, "Josh Simmons." He goes, "Out of anybody," and he said his upside is ridiculous.
Now, when
Yeah,
he when he
I
when he
mean,
when he said that, is he talking about his nastiness? What is he referring to?
No, he's talking about the way he plays and everything. He said his
Oh,
upside,
okay.
the sky's the limit for this guy. His everything that he does is ridiculous. They said, "Who is the toughest person you ever went up against?" And he's talking about his own teammate. Now I haven't heard Josh Simmons say that about Williams, but I heard him. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
take it.
yeah. I mean, I can believe that, but actually, the guy that I've been really rooting for in this Ohio State offensive line is Donovan Jackson, the guard. But
Oh,
Josh
that's right.
Simmons, I'm very hopeful for him as well. If he lands to the Bears, late or whatever, or however they want to do it, I'll be satisfied. I've heard some disparaging things. Around this time of year, they put out a bunch of people come out with a bunch of bull crap about these guys that kind of hurts their reputation and kind of it. If the right people are listening or the wrong people listening, it kind of hurts these guys' draft stock. They had some real disparaging things to say about Simmons.
Wow.
I don't believe any of them, but it was some real
Such
nasty
as,
things, man.
such as.
Uh,
He's a vegan.
a, a guy that's lazy, not engaged. Um, I'm trying to find the right words.
That that
A
that
guy
that
that,
coming from Ohio State. Come on now. Mm-mm.
hey,
Nah,
that's what I said. This is that
nah.
time of year when guys guys get either
Of course, man. You want him to
underhyped
drop
or
to
overhyped.
you. You want him to
Yeah,
drop to you, so you gonna float all
yeah.
kind of info out there, hoping that he
Something.
drops to
And
you, man.
And it's real crazy that they picked it. They picked to put this BS out on the guy's pro day, man.
Oh,
Whether a guy fits or he's good or he's not.
D
You
nice.
know, huh?
It works because I told everyone you're a vegan, and now no one. I got you as my co-host, so it's working so far, bro.
you look like a vegan too.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. Give me all the chicken wings and steaks
I'm
you
trying to
can
tell
throw my
you.
way, brother. Cause I ain't looking here. I like me some vegetables, but give me some meat, man. Give me some meat.
Keith, I
Yeah,
told Keith, I told him you were plant-based only, so I had to scoop you up,
You
and
know
I'm
that
just
didn't
waiting
work,
on.
bro. You know that
Yeah.
didn't work. Don't
I
nobody
can't do
believe that,
nothing
bro.
with. I told everyone about Kedz, but he keeps talking about all that stuff on Nomad about cooking and stuff. So this ain't working out for him.
Can't even play it. My son would never believe it, man. My son is actually a vegan, 6'4", 260-pound defensive lineman for the Calgary Dinos. Vegan, eats no meat. I don't know how
Mm.
he has power when he does what he needs to do, but he finds it somewhere. You know what he does though? He just eats like this is like the funniest thing ever. He just eats like full. He'll go to the grocery store, buy a full ass watermelon and just eat the watermelon. It's got to be the blackest thing you could possibly do. You know what I'm saying? Like the most Caribbean thing you could ever accomplish, and he'll just sit there with like a spoon and just just
Does he at
crush.
least put salt on it? Do you put salt on the
No,
watermelon? No
no,
salt.
he just no salt. He just
Oh,
crushes that thing,
I
smiling
got to
the
take
whole
his black
time.
card from him, kids.
I don't know, man. He's got his own. That's a whole new level of black card, though. So that's
Mm.
a whole new level, bro.
Yeah,
I'm just
yes, it is. Oh man. Okay, all right. Let's get back on track, y'all. Let's get back
all
on
right, all right.
track. Oh my God, man. But so we all are we all in on the young man Judkins? Are we all in on him? We feel it.
Yes, sir.
Look,
He could
so he's
definitely
not,
he could. Can he fill a
but
role
he's not
for us?
alone. He's not alone, and I have to say, he came to the table this year because Travion Henderson was hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I scouted Travion last season. Travion is a special running back too. So I was under the impression that these guys would probably take a hit this season because they're not playing with their star running back. And they didn't miss a beat. They didn't, you know what I mean? They did not take a hit at all. Quinshon stepped up to the plate and knocked the ball out the park. And that's why we're sitting here talking about him as that lead back. He's a little bit thicker, a little bit more contact balance. But then you look at Travion, and Travion brings very similar things to the table. Great pass catching back. He's got that lateral movement that you really are looking for, whereas Quinshon is much more north and south, but in between the tackles, he can get, you know what I mean? He's shifty in there too. So
Yeah, and they both run hard.
They both run hard, man. I love both of these running backs, and this is the reason why. Like we just got started here. There's a pretty deep list. Let's just put it this way. So the combine this year, 15 players from Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's a large amount of players, guys. You know what I mean? Like this is why we've got 150 human beings out there taking a look at the better part of the Bears brass, taking a look at what might fall to them from this single team, because there's a lot of elite talent floating around in Ohio.
This is one of their best classes. This is definitely one of their
Agreed.
best classes for sure. I
Yeah, for
mean, this
sure.
this class
Hey,
it's kind of reminiscent of when, if you think about it, when Justin was there,
Yeah.
when him and Chase Young and those guys when they was coming out, man, they were deep too. They were deep. So, look,
who's
I'm gonna
got
be
better
honest,
vision,
man.
Kedz?
Better vision in the hole?
Yeah, for the running backs.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say Trevion.
Okay.
If we're talking about vision,
Yeah.
I'm going to say
I was told that's the first thing that they look at when it comes to running
It
backs
is.
is the vision.
I would say Trevion, no questions. I would also say, again, Judkins is a little bit more angry. You know what I mean? He runs a little bit more angry. You're going to catch a stiff arm from Judkins, but yeah, man, I really like both of these backs a lot. And if we don't wind up with Genty early, well, you know what I mean? Like, these two guys will be floating around somewhere nearby, and hopefully we can get at least one of them.
Yeah.
And the good thing, man, we got an early second round pick, man. So I think one of them will be available, if not both of them, and then you just have to decide which one is going to serve your team the best in terms of what your scheme and everything is going to be. So I mean, if and when that opportunity comes, I mean, Ben Johnson and Ryan Poston got a real decision to make, man. They got a real
Yeah, I
decision
think
to
with
make.
whatever the Bears do in the first round will kind of tell the story of how things go in round 2, in my opinion.
It's a toss-up.
Yes, that it will. That it definitely will.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
with
because
that being said, and you just mentioned it, with that being said, talking about the first round, is it quite possible? Um, let's just jump into it, man, because everybody still is harping on offensive tackle. Everybody is still harping on offensive tackle. So we got to talk about Mr. Josh Simmons. I mean, we're talking about a gentleman who is 6'5", 310 pounds, man. You know, um, my question is, can he do the job? Do you all think he can honestly come in and compete for a starting position against Braxton Jones and potentially win that job?
well, I mean, I think first thing first, we have to check and see where he is health wise. And from all accounts, it seems like he'll be ready when it's time. But I think it'll be a hell of a competition. We all have had our turn to give Braxton Jones crap about the way he's played and the way he has been playing. But I think it'll be a pretty good competition between him and Josh Simmons. And if nothing else, if Braxton is the all-out starter, it'll give us a much-needed depth at the position, being that Braxton is on the contract year, and it'll give Josh Simmons an extra time to heal from the nasty injury that he had.
So
Would you before you jump in there, kids? Let
Mhm.
me throw this out there, man. One thing that I'm gonna give. I want to cut Braxton Jones just a tad bit, just a very tad bit of slack, and
Mhm.
say, we often say coaching matters. Can we be honest and say he hasn't had the best offensive line coach to actually learn the position from? So is it quite possible that we might see a different Braxton Jones now that we have actual coaching, especially on the offensive line? Kids?
It's quite possible.
Possibilities are endless. I'm gonna say yes. Here's the kicker, though. Both of these guys are hurt. Both of them. And that's where things go a little bit sideways for me with the Josh Simmons conversation. Braxton Jones busts up his foot, just had surgery. There's some footage of him, I believe, that came out. Yes. Oh wow, you're rocking and rolling over there, brother. Well done. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, just had surgery. He just got out of his boot yesterday, and they saw him. There was some footage of him walking. He's limping, so he's got a ways to go. He's got to get back in a walking shape, and then eventually into football shape. So again, he's got a ways to go, and this is where, for all intents and purposes, I don't see Ryan Poles betting the farm on Braxton Jones starting this season. Just being a realist now.
Bishop, can I ask you guys a quick question before I go?
Yes.
Sure.
This is mostly for D Nice because I already know what he said in the past, and it bothers me a little bit. So these quarterbacks, everybody says, let the rookie sit behind the veteran and learn. Pick up a first round quarterback, let him sit for a year, let him sit 2 years and learn. Why can't we do that to the most important position that protects the quarterback? What's wrong with that?
Uh-oh.
Well,
Oh,
How important is that insurance to your home and your Maserati parked in your garage
So
of your
don't we
home?
have that on the roster right now, though, bruh?
I was about to go there,
I knew
Kedz.
you were.
But you would already have
But
them on the roster right now as
No,
a
but
backup.
don't we have that on the roster right now? Karan
oh,
Amagaji is who I'm talking about.
Maybe.
um,
oh.
Maybe.
and on top of that, a team that has a lot less
If we did,
holes
he would have
than
been picked in the first.
a team that has a lot less holes than we have can take that approach. But with the in the position that the Chicago Bears are in right now, we don't need to draft anybody in the blue chip position for him to sit. You know, if we draft that guy, we're gonna put him up front, and he's gonna have to win the job. You
So
know,
wait,
we're
wait,
not.
wait.
We're not. I mean, now,
Darius,
huh?
are you telling me that all teams that draft a quarterback have to have a dominant, really good offensive line for that quarterback to come in and start?
It'll be nice,
It'll
but
be good.
we've seen over the years with our team alone that ain't true.
I think that
In
every
a perfect
quarterback,
world,
including Justin Fields, that came to our team had a lot of holes.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
ideal though? You know what I mean? Is that what you want? You want to put a
Yeah,
rookie QB behind a porous line?
right. And how many times have we said that the Bears have been doing this stuff wrong for the last however many years?
50. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is, you hit the
You
number
know,
too. You hit the number. So you got it. You have to. We're at the precipice of a situation where they have the quarterback. He's had a year under his belt, and now we've built that line. All we need is one more piece on the line for it to work out. And I'm not trying to, disparage Braxton Jones in any
no, no,
capacity.
no, no, no.
I'm just saying the guy's hurt. So if you're
Yeah,
going to
Right.
start the season and you're already behind the eight ball at that left tackle position, it makes sense to backfill. Now, you kind of hit the nail on the head, though, Trax. The fact is, there is still Karan Amagaji. Karan could step right into this position and be the man. So far, that hasn't been the case, but that leads us back to Josh Simmons and the fact that he's also hurt. Karan was hurt last
right.
year. Do we want to do that again? I don't
But
know.
but another thing that we can add, this could be Braxton Jones last year as a Chicago Bear. So I
Yep.
mean,
Good
bringing
point.
Josh Simmons in, if we choose to trade back, that'll be an insurance guy, like the scenario track said. He could be an insurance guy for the simple fact that this could be Braxton Jones last year as a
And
Bear.
and and one last thing before I go. I promise. I promise this is the last thing before I go. Because this is your show. I just want to show the video. I just want to say I saw him at the pro day and he didn't look so injured, not to the point where I'm worried about Josh Williams.
Okay.
Simmons.
I mean,
I
Simmons.
think that's all the more reason that 150 human beings went out there to see for themselves
Yeah.
Right.
whether the tackle is good to go. I think that was one of the big reasons for this turnout was just to make sure that his movement was some semi-sound. But even then, I'm not sure how much of a workout he really put out there today, because again, he's still recovering.
Yeah. Fellas, you guys have a great show. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out. You guys are amazing.
Oh,
Appreciate
no
Thank
you,
you,
problem
Trax.
at
sir.
all.
Take it easy,
Thank
brother.
you, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, see you guys. I'll be watching behind backstage.
Right on.
No problem. So, I mean, at this point, man, that left tackle this is a tricky situation for us, man, because
Mhm.
you know we got to address it regardless. It's a position that needs to be addressed. because we don't know what the future holds for Braxton Jones. You know, and I'm leaning more on the side of coaching that I think we'll get better production out of him once he's healthy, along with the other gentleman. I don't I'll botch his name up.
With
So
Quran?
yeah, Karan.
I'm a guy.
Well, yeah,
And even
so for me, I'm thinking this is just me. If we could, in a perfect world, if we could potentially snatch Simmons, are we really doing a bad thing by adding him? I don't think so, man. Because what's the worst case can happen? Braxton
Okay.
have Braxton could have an outstanding season to where it makes you decide. You got now the fight becomes: do we extend him? Do we extend him, or does he become trade bait to get some assets because we know we got two other guys that can fill that spot? So this is when it gets real interesting. If you really think about it, it could actually put us in a position where you got the phone will be ringing off the hook because there's not a ton of good. I'm not going to say great. There's not a ton of good left tackles out there. So if one's available or one that could potentially become available that other teams can say, hey, that guy can play for us. Let's get on the phone and see what it's going to cost us. That could work
yeah,
well for us also. Don't you agree?
I agree. But we had two instances in the same game of how important this left tackle position is, and that's the Super Bowl. All right. One team had an undrafted free agent playing left tackle. The other team had a All Pro Hall of Fame guard playing left tackle. Tell me who won.
Oh,
The
oh,
Eagles had an undrafted free
I
agent
was
playing
gonna
left
say it
tackle.
might have been the undrafted free agent
Yeah,
who won
yeah,
this time
yeah.
around.
yeah. I mean, everyone on the line doesn't have to be great, but the guys that's on the line have to be good enough to kind of help out the guy that's not that great. You know what I
I
mean?
hear what
And that's
you're saying.
another thing that people kind of dismiss. Outside of the coaching was a great point. But outside of the coaching, the unit that's there with the Chicago Bears now that we have, though it was via free agency, is a veteran unit, not just of good, decent players, Pro Bowl caliber players at this position. All right, we got the two young guys on the ends, the right and the left ends, with Wright and Jones. Those guys in the interior can help them out tremendously, along with great coaching. You know, I've been on record of saying that regardless of if we don't add any in the draft, I think this is a very, very good O line, and Caleb will not get sacked 60 times. I can assure you of
I hope
that.
not, man. We can't
I
afford
can
that,
assure
brother.
you of that. And
So
I understand the need for O line, especially in the depth, but we're not drafting in this first round just for depth purposes, because like I don't think this is the insurance round. The first round is not your insurance round. You know, you're at 10, and if fate may have it, we won't be drafting 10 again for a very long time. So I think this is a time that we take advantage and get a guy that's gonna make an immediate impact. And I don't think left tackle is the position where someone's gonna make an immediate impact coming into next season for us.
all of those things, sir. I'm in full agreement. I will give like the devil's advocate view to all this.
Hmm.
And like I said, there's a couple of hurt guys. Um, Josh is hurt. Braxton is hurt. What we really want is at that left tackle position, whether it's Josh or somebody else further down the line. We want that guy to be able to come in and show out. I think the verdict is sort of out on who Braxton Jones is, and that's a positive thing. I think if the Bears do not necessarily want to extend him next season because they've got Karan waiting in the wings and they've drafted another left tackle, by all means, he'll have the ability to play and be traded depending on how things shake out. But what you need is you need to have that new left tackle go out there and show out himself during the first 7 games of this season to prove the theory. That's what you need. Okay, so we're set in this position. We can be dynamic here and look for a trade partner for Braxton, get him on another team, and actually develop the talent and get capital, which is like the one thing the Chicago Bears just never do. We develop talent, we don't retain them, they go elsewhere, and we get nothing for it. We might be able to get something for a 5th-round pick, which might be even better than the 5th-round pick we spent in the first place.
And remember, guys, we won
Imagine
13 games.
getting a 3rd round for a 5th round.
You know what I'm saying? For Braxton, that'd be great.
We won 13 games with Charles Leno as our left tackle.
7th-round pick.
Yeah, like do remember. Not saying that that's a pattern that we trying to follow, but listen, us being successful, you know what I'm saying, doesn't mean that we have to have a great left tackle. You know what I mean? Because Charles Leno was far from great.
He'd been paid quite well. I'm quite certain I'm sure he's still playing somewhere. Is he still in Washington?
He was. I mean, Washington had 2 of our old linemen. Cornelius Lucas.
Oh, that's right.
And Charles Leno.
Charles Leno got a big extension over there. That much I know. I'm not sure if he's still the left tackle over there, but you know what I'm saying? What happens in Chicago is these guys disappear. We go, you know what? We're done with you. We're sick of you, and we get nothing for them. They go somewhere else.
We never get the return on the investment.
No return on investment ever. And this James Daniels, Cody White, like the list of drafted Chicago Bears that we've got nothing for is astronomical. Thank goodness Roquan Smith got us a little something.
Yeah. Well, and I want to point out something really quick on Josh Simmons. When we were talking about, we're not sure whether or not he's healthy or not. We're hoping that at least he's going to be healthy. According to some of those that were there, they said as far as his pro day performance, they said he dominated the positional drills. He showed strength, footwork, and the ability to handle elite pass rushes. So that sounds like a guy that is pretty healthy. Maybe not 100%, but was healthy enough to be able to display that to put all teams at ease with regard to his health.
So I want to put one last thing, and unfortunately, this one's definitely negative. I want to put one last thing about Josh Simmons, and the last thing to say is his arms are only 33 inches long, which is a half inch longer than the guy everybody's complaining about and saying he got short arms, and that is Will Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Will Campbell drops to 10 and you're considering Josh Simmons, I don't know what you do here. I don't know.
I think you go with the most healthiest guy.
Being Will Campbell in that situation, if that's what it is. But I
don't think you can get clipped either way. I don't think you can go wrong either way.
But the question is, will Will Campbell play tackle?
Well, this is sort of really where I'm leaning towards with Josh Simmons now. Is he a tackle in the NFL? I think he's a great tackle in college, no question. I think Will Campbell's an elite tackle in college too. I don't know. I also another guy to throw into the same conversation, Jonas Savaiinea. Again, pretty short arms, and he's saying I want to play guard in the NFL. Like he's saying,
I think he's a guard though. If you look at him, he's built like that. But back to Will. I mean, just to go to Will Campbell. His arms got a tad bit longer over the week, so he's now past the I think 33.5 threshold.
What's he
If
doing?
I'm not
Oh,
Pilates?
mistaken.
really? Really? So he
Yeah,
was stretching? He's been sleeping hanging from a pole.
I guess so, man. He was measured. He was measured during this pro day, and he passed.
Okay, all
Okay.
right.
All right.
He's doing
Hey, look,
Pilates.
look. Hey, we seen stranger things, right? We
Absolutely.
seen stranger things. So we're gonna move it right along to the next player that we want to highlight, which is a position that we always seem to add. Not that we necessarily need to, but depth is always good in this particular room, which is our DB room. And we're going to talk about cornerback. And the cornerback that we're going to highlight tonight is a gentleman by the name of Jordan Hancock. This gentleman is 6 feet, 190 pounds, rangy guy. Um, and his stats, he had four interceptions along with 15 pass breakups. So he's pretty active, seems to always be around the ball. I actually like this kid. I like him a lot. Um, Now they say according to his pro day performance, he blazed through the drills, which I wasn't surprised, as well as
Hmm.
displayed excellent ball skills. Again, a guy that seems to always be around the ball, uh, as well as everybody seems to think that he's going to be a top tier cornerback prospect for this year's draft, but more importantly, for years to come. So I'm gonna kind of throw this to Kedz first because I want to get Ked's take on him. Kedz, what you think about Mr. Hancock?
I'm gonna say this. Jordan's got some nice measurables and some decent stats. I like his partner better. Just I don't know if it's just me. I like Lathan Ransom better. Have you guys had the opportunity to check out Lathan Ransom?
Yeah,
Ransom's the safety. Is Ransom the safety or is he a corner?
Ransom's a safety, man. Ransom's a safety. I like Ransom a lot, but like Hancock's good. Hancock's good. So is like they've got a really this team's really deep, like across the board. Denzel
Yeah.
Burke is nice too, right? Like as far as the actual corners are concerned, but all three of those guys back there in the secondary are a dangerous little group, and I think they're going to do some damage in the NFL. Considering I think we need a safety a little bit more so than a corner. I've been looking at Ransom.
and see, Kedz, I'm glad you did that because I'm finna pivot for a quick moment here, Darius, and I need you to roll with me on this one
Hmm.
because Kedz touched on something, man. Is our need more at defensive back as far as corner, or is our need more at safety?
Yeah,
Me
it's
personally,
Safety.
I'm with kids. I'm looking at safety. Me personally, I think
Yeah.
we have more of a need at safety,
Yeah.
than
Absolutely.
cornerback. Not to say that we don't always need to be adding a solid corner, but right now I think safety is more of a pressing matter for us in terms of depth, but more importantly, in the event Brisker goes
Insurance.
down.
you
Yeah,
know where you're going. You know where you're
Yeah.
going, right? So
yeah.
that's the only thing that I'm slightly worried about. I also don't want with I know we're talking about Ohio State here. There's a certain guy. I'll just leave him out of the conversation. There's a certain guy that I think is like one of one at the safety position in this draft, and he would be a
Yeah.
potential upgrade to Jaquan Brisker. But outside of that, I would prefer that we get somebody who, for all intents and purposes, can kind of sit behind Jaquan as long as Jaquan is healthy and good to go. If
Hmm.
somehow that concussion situation rears its ugly head again, then this guy's sitting in the wings, ready to go and chomping at the bit. But like just to touch on Jaquan a little bit, like, and I'll ask you guys, y'all think he was really like concussed all season last year?
No, no, I don't.
No.
I think they chose to just sit him out. There wasn't no need to risk him, considering what we were dealing with. That's me personally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think
feel like
that was a business decision.
yeah, and
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think the business was that him and Flus probably had a big falling out at some point.
Yeah.
That's just me full
Yeah.
on talking out of turn, but some of his
Mm,
reaction on social during
Media.
It
yeah,
says a lot.
it did say quite a bit to me. It
Hmm.
showed me there was a rift there of some kind,
Yeah.
But
And it's funny you said that, kids, because someone who I know that kind of talks to certain individuals said that the room that was most vocal about flus was that DB room. Them guys had just had they were fed up.
well,
They
you
they
can
were
see
fed up.
why. I'm sorry,
That's
I
why
gotta
that's
laugh
why
about
him and
that.
Jalen almost, you think about it, him and Jalen almost got into it, man.
Well, no,
Jalen got
Jalen tore him a whole new strip, but it started with Byard, right? And in the fail Mary game, Byard came over to him and was like, "Why are we backing off like that? Why are we
right.
giving up
I
15
was
yards
going
for him?
there.
Like, what are we doing here?" And Flus was literally on the field to the level that Caleb had to run over and be like, "Dude, you need to get off the field." So like Caleb grabbed him and they ran off the field, snap, first down, because like you gave him that much cushion, there was no question. But Byard was there questioning it. And after that, yeah, he lost that secondary for sure.
Yeah, if you pay attention throughout the first couple of games of the year, I think those guys got tired of the soft coverages. I think they got frustrated because they were allowing quarterbacks to kind of tear them apart, pick them apart due to a ton of soft coverage. The Indianapolis game, the Colts game, was one game that really stuck out for me. Although the running back ran for 100 yards or whatever, but the quarterback had a way better game than he was supposed to have, and it was due to the soft coverages. We should have made that guy turn the ball over 5 times, even though I think he did turn it over three. But it should have been a lot more than that. But the soft coverages, man, they hunted us all year long. And I think the Hail Mary was kind of like, a huge chunk out of the out of the wall, and it just spilled over on long after that, man. The
It was
soft
Well, look,
coverages, man.
it was evident in that
I'm gonna be
game.
honest though, but let's if nothing else, guys, let's be elated over the fact that that soft coverage has now gone east. And it is now in Dallas, and they can deal with it, and they can bend, and they're gonna break, and they'll be back to 8-8. But anyway,
We got some good
because
DBs over there too. They're gonna be some angry DBs, but
oh,
by the time
look, bro,
Flus is
look,
over.
we gonna be hearing about it, man. Flus is on 35, heading south, trying to get to the border as quickly as possible because these boys is trying to take his head off.
He'll be
But
cooking in Mexico by the time he's done.
But
yeah, man.
speaking of Jordan Hancock, I'm a fan of Jordy. He's a local kid. He's from outside of Atlanta, city called Swanee, Georgia. He's a Gwinnett County kid. They produce a lot of NFL and some NBA talent. You know, I'm rooting for him, and if the Bears choose to pick him, and so be it. He had an excellent senior year. Won a championship in his senior year, so that should help his draft stock. I don't know how early or how late he's going to go, but I'm sure he's a day two, day three pick. But I'm rooting for the kid. He has nice size. He has very good ability. He's not afraid to tackle. That's another thing. That was a welcoming sight for our team. Guys stepping up and not being afraid to lay the hat. And he's one of those guys. So I'm rooting for him, but I don't know if the Bears going to be in business for him. I think, like I said, the most pressing need is safety because there's just too much uncertainty in that position. We know about Byard, but we don't know how long Byard's going to be with us. He's a guy that's a little older, and I think he's on the last year as well. So we have to draft his successor as well.
That is true. I think a successor
Yeah,
could come next year. I know we have him under contract this year. Next year is a question mark.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
and if things fall a certain type of way, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a cut. Because there are major cuts that be made like right before the season starts or in the middle of that, that
Yeah,
training camp situation. These cuts happen. So, just never know, man. But safety is a real pressing need, and we got some guys that's versatile that can play both. But why you want to do that to a guy if you don't have to? You
right.
know?
No, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that, man. I mean,
I'd hate it.
and the good thing is though we do have a pretty deep and strong defensive back room. So both safety as well as corners. So I think that helps us um, with regard to just feeling comfortable with knowing that we can add a guy and not that guy not have to be pressed to come in right away and perform. So I think
Hmm.
that's helpful for us. But that's definitely an area of concern on my behalf. I think that I would much be looking at the safeties than I would be the corners. Now, if we can definitely pick up a nice corner later on in the draft, always, and that's something we seem to have always been able to do when it comes to here since Poles has taken over. They uh, their analysis on DBs have been pretty doggone good. If you look at who we have, I mean, we got guys that's been able to kind of plug and play and keep things going. There's not a major drop off in that area opposed to other parts of our defense, primarily, of course, defensive line. So,
Yeah, that's
But
the one place I'm
if
not
you
worried
want
about. You know what I
if you
mean?
yeah. If you think about that position though, if you truly think about it, that's the one position group where we have or had an all pro at. So I think that constitutes to a lot of success of the other guys because of a leader like Jalen Johnson in the secondary.
mhm,
He's been
yeah,
he's been an all pro. He's a professional. He knows how to be a professional, and he's a very technical cornerback. Now he may not win every matchup, but he's not challenged as much as everyone else. So he's done a great job of leading those guys in the secondary. Especially the corners. Even though Stevenson is a little bit loose at times, he's still another guy that's learning from Jalen Johnson. Learning how to be a better technician at the position. So I think that's one of the reasons why that position group has so much success because we got an all pro back there. And he's a leader and he's a teacher.
yeah,
And he know how to get across to his teammates, and that's something that money can't buy, even though we're paying
yeah.
him a whole lot.
Well, but now that we got Al Harris, man, in the building, that's going.
Yeah.
I really expect to see some dogs. I want them. I hope they go ahead and get my man Kyler Gordon extended. I would like them to do that as soon as possible. I wouldn't wait till after the draft. I would really try to get that done before the draft, honestly, just to have that out the way. Go ahead and spend that money now and get it out the way. And so that way you can really focus on your draft and go ahead and add the pieces that you need to add and not have to worry about having that, kind of looming over you. But you know, we'll see, man. We'll see. Um, I think
Yeah.
Owens is having Owens, having Bayer. We got guys, man. That's seasoned guys. That's that's battle tested. So that's one area of the defense I'm not really concerned with. But always being able to add some good quality depth is something that you know you 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 need it. It's definitely necessary. So
That one room, and especially the fact that Dennis Allen is he's been a DB coach. I'm so
Hmm.
mhm,
not worried about this room. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
there's also Terrell Smith sitting on a bench. Like he's a talented dude, man.
He's very
You know what I'm saying? Like
for
when
sure.
when
yeah,
Tariq wreaked a little bit of havoc, and had to be benched. Terrell came out there and there was virtually no drop off. And that's saying a
Yeah,
lot because Tariq was very good. You know what I'm saying? So just the one room in the building, I have no worries
yeah.
about it all.
I mean, one guy to me, I think who has grown, and especially toward the latter part of the season last year, Elijah Hicks stepped up too, man. You know, he
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 did
he
play
balled
quite
out.
well.
He balled out, man. Last half of the season, man. When his number was called, the young man balled out, man. So I like his growth as well. So that's what I'm saying. That's one part of the defense I'm not concerned with, not at all, man. You know. But with that being said, man, we're gonna keep it moving. But before we do, um, Darius, can you put that up for me, please? We're gonna talk about this app here, man. Let's talk about this app a little bit here, and we're gonna talk about the um the parlay app. Want to parlay?
Yes, indeed.
So there's a promo code for those that would jump on and download this Want to Parlay app. Um, and if you use the promo code TRACKS, your first $250 match and bets as little as $2 to get in. I mean, what else can be said? Unfortunately, I'm here in Texas. They not letting us do no gambling. We ain't betting on nothing. So
Mm.
unfortunately, I haven't had the pleasure of being able to take advantage of any type of gambling when it comes to sports. And Lord knows, I sure wish I could, because there's a couple times I'd have made out. I'd have definitely made out on the Super Bowl because I was spot on with that one. But either way, with that being said, you can march right into madness right now. We got that going on, so you can throw your quality bets in on your parlays on that, as well as Major League Baseball just kicked off, so you able to toss your bets in on that, and of course the NBA as we're getting ready to head into the playoff season for them. So you guys get a chance to definitely again download the Wanna Parlay app, and don't forget to use the promo code TRACKS. And again, if you use that, your first 250, your first set of bets up to $250 will be matched. More importantly, you get $2 to just take $2 to get in. So with that being said, you guys go ahead, definitely download the Wanna Parlay app. So with that being said, we're gonna roll into the last guy that we're gonna talk about tonight from this Ohio State Pro Day, which is a defensive tackle, Mr. Tyleik Williams.
The freak.
Height is, yes, 6'3", 320 pounds. 8 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and 45 total tackles. According to his pro day performance, this is what I have been given. Showed off his explosiveness and power in drills, solidifying his first round potential as a dominant interior defender. With that being said, um, Kedz, you and I in the past, we've often had conversations about the defensive line and what's needed. You and I both are big Billings fans. We know that defensive tackle has been a need for a very long time, whether it was 3 tech, 0 tech, you call it. Look, this young man right here, where would you take him and where would you place him on that line?
Um, so this guy would make, like, I love this guy. Like, this guy, this is one of my favorite potential selections in this draft. In my many mocks, if I potentially trade back, there's a couple of people I'm looking for, and one of them is definitely Tyleik Williams. No question. I think he's going to come in towards the back end of the first round. Some happy team is going to select him. I think he's fantastic at what he does. At the end of the day, it would make for one dangerous rotation. So you have Billings there. You rotate Billings out. You bring Tyleik in. On the other side, you got Grady and you got Javon. that is one of the most dangerous rotations you can think of. Um, you still got Pickens and Chris Williams in the back, and Jonathan Ford too in the back, making sure things go
Mm-hmm.
correct in case of injury. But as a straight up 4-man rotation, those 4 guys would wreak havoc on the NFL. I'm just putting it out there now. Tyreek is sort of like he's more of a nose, but at the same time he can do the 3-tech thing too. Like it's
Yeah.
not even a question. So much faster than you would expect at his size. Very good, very nimble, athletic dude, man. I would love it if somehow he found his way to Chicago. What do y'all
I
think?
think he definitely.
Hey,
I think he definitely fits Dennis Allen as a prototype type of player that he likes on that defensive line. So I'm sorry, D
uh,
Nice. Go ahead.
no. Sheldon Rankins type of guy.
Yeah,
Okay, this is a
Ooh.
guy. I think he
yeah,
needs to.
good comp actually. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he should play. I think he has to learn to play with a little lower pad level. That seems to be a
But
trend
that's
with these
coachable.
younger guys coming out. That pad level thing. I mean, I'm kind of curious to how they coaching that thing nowadays. How they coaching the defensive line nowadays? Because pad level is one of the most important things, man. When you're in the trenches, the low man wins. But he has excellent body control for a guy his size. Very quick at identifying the ball and getting to it. Very nimble guy. Like I said, is a dancing bear. Um, could he be in play for the Bears maybe in the late 3rd or 4th round? Quite possibly. You
you
know,
think he goes that far?
I think he go. I think it's like late 3rd or 4th. I don't think he's one of these guys that's 2nd round. I
Mm,
don't think so.
Huh.
really?
Okay.
I
I
don't
think
Okay.
think
he's a
so.
I think he's a 1st round pick, but if you're saying 3rd or
Really?
4th, yeah, I think him and Kenneth Grant are, in my opinion, probably the 1 and 2. Yeah, they're probably the 1 and 2 DTs and at the nose. But again, I feel like he can do a little bit
He
of
can be
both. And
moved
same thing,
around a little bit. Yeah.
so can Kenneth Grant, and that's part of the upside to both of these particular players.
Yeah.
So that's me. I think they're a little bit earlier on. I would love it if he fell to 3 or 4. Oh, there's no reason why you know what I mean? Like they need to trade up. That's a trade
Yeah.
up I'm fully with.
I mean, maybe not the 4th, but I think he's definitely a 3rd round pick. I don't think he goes in the first 2 rounds. I could be wrong. But like I said, listen, if he goes to the 3rd round, we got one of those. You know what I'm saying? We got one
That
of
we
those
do.
picks.
We do.
So
That we do.
if the guys up top feel compelled, man, go for it. I wouldn't be mad at it because he can be an excellent depth piece. With the guys, and he fits in perfectly with the other guys that we have on the team.
Yeah.
I like his size. I like the fact that he can move, and I like the fact that he can identify the ball. In those trenches and get to it. So hey, man, if we can get him, cool.
But see now,
I'm for it for sure.
so let's play devil's advocate for a moment here. We hold the number 10 pick, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we just mentioned this gentleman could potentially fall to be a 3rd round pick. Is it quite possible if the key guy, the top graded guy on the board is gone before 10, that 10th pick is traded back and you trade back and you either pick up a 2nd or a 3rd, if not one of each, if possible, however you can work it, to put yourself in a position to where if a guy like Williams becomes available because you traded back, now you can use that pick to either trade up to get him at some point if he falls to the 3rd round, or just so happen you get a 3rd round pick that you don't have to trade up. He might just fall right to that position.
Yeah.
I mean, this is to me, this is that draft where we're going to really see how good of a technician when it comes to drafting Poles really is. Because I think that 10th pick, depending on the first 5 to 6 picks, is going to determine how he moves. I myself, I honestly think we're going to end up trading back. That's just me. But
So here's
what you guys take on it? I see a little smirk on your face, kid. So go ahead, kick it
yeah,
off.
the thing is you need to have a trade partner. Like, you know what I mean? It's good for us to have this speculation. Somebody needs to be willing to do a deal like this. There are teams though. One team, for instance, might be the Houston Texans. They might want to move up to get a left tackle. Maybe they make a deal with us. Like, I'm just going to throw out a couple of teams. There's also the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me be real about this one. We need to fleece the daylights out of them because I'm not
Oh,
pleased with some of these trades with Pittsburgh over the last couple of years. They need to be fleeced raw with this deal. They need a quarterback. Everybody knows it. If Shador Sanders happens to be somebody out of that top 10 is going to fall. We're all hoping it's Genty, or at least a lot of folks are hoping it's Genty. I'm going to say straight up, I'm one of them. A lot of folks are hoping it's Mason Graham, right? Like these are two guys who could potentially fall out of that top 10. Another guy, though, is Shador Sanders. If the quarterback falls to 10, Pittsburgh's going to want to jump up and get the quarterback. They desperately need one at this present time because I don't think Duck, what's his name? They call him Duck. Anyways, Mason, what's his name, man? You know what I mean?
You talking about Mason Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph. He's not gonna cut it. Like, he's just not. He's been there. He's tried it. They're hoping that Rodgers winds up over there. It's just as possible that Rodgers winds up in Minnesota right now. Which,
I don't think he's going to
you know what I mean?
Minnesota.
Please don't let that happen again. That's
I don't
not.
think they're going to do that.
Crazy.
I don't think they would do that to their quarterback room. They don't want to have a guy like Rodgers in their room and have JJ looking over his shoulder. So I don't think that's going to happen. And another thing, kid, I don't think Shador is going to fall. I honestly think what's going to end up happening with Shador. This is just me. I'm going to put it out there. It's a possibility that the Raiders might trade up to go get him.
Trade up.
Yeah. Because they're picking 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Raiders are number 6.
6.
So
I can see them
Cam
going. I can see them going up, man, and trading with. I honestly can see them if depending on, and it's going to be predicated on Cleveland. The trade partner would be Cleveland and the Raiders go up to 2 to get Shador.
That's not crazy because I have heard some wins that Cleveland is shopping that selection. All right, so I will put that out there. I believe that they are shopping number 2 for somebody to come up and make a deal.
And I think it would be Oakland. Not Oakland.
That's not crazy because the Raiders are just
Las
crazy.
Vegas.
Like it's not. It's still the Raiders are crazy.
But the reason I say that is because Geno's going to be a stopgap for them. But
of course.
he would be, and I could see them again because of all the connections with TB and Shador, Mentor, and all of that. Where and let's be clear, Pete Carroll know, hey, I got to do what I'm going to do within 3 years. He's got 3 years tops.
So
he can roll with Geno first 6-7 games, first half of the season. At some point, the Shador can, make the field, or maybe Shador get a chance to sit for a season and actually learn the position. But again, you don't go up to 2 for a guy to sit because that's a blue chip move, as D Nice said. So I think that's in play. I really think that could be in play because
wow.
I think Cleveland feel that they could get their guy even if they were to trade out of that number 2 spot to add to their defensive line.
And listen, as strange as it sounds, we've all seen Stranger Things, right?
From the Raiders specifically, yeah, we have.
Yeah,
But
okay.
continue. Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking like this. I think the Raiders are thinking maybe into next year's draft, and that was one of the reasons why they decided to bring Geno over. Because next year's draft is going to be a lot more quarterback heavy. It's going to be some better. It's going to be a lot deeper class of quarterbacks. So I think they get what they need as far as skill positions and anything else. Because now one thing about the Raiders, they haven't been shy about drafting offensive linemen. Like they've done that plenty of times. It ain't all worked for them, but they've made it their deal. The Raiders and Cleveland, those are two teams that they draft trenches. They have no problem with it. They just can't get the other parts right consistently. Um, but with it being such a quarterback heavy draft next draft, I think they may try to, see what they can get away with per se this year coming, and then just bank on picking in the same position the next year and drafting the guys
Ooh,
they really want.
ooh, you
That's
flirting
Because
with
not
some
crazy.
stuff.
I don't think like drafting a quarterback because he's there. I don't think that's the right move. You see, Tennessee did that, and you see how with Will Levis, and you see how that turned out.
Yeah,
You know,
they're picking another quarterback potentially this time around.
yeah, and I think,
They
and I
That was
think
stupid on
when
their
you
behalf in the first place. They should have never drafted Levis, but that's
right,
that's my
but that was a position, one of these top positions of need, and they got a little crazy and decided to
need
gamble
for
on
who?
Will
For them at
Levis.
that time? Come on,
Yeah,
Darius. They didn't need a quarterback. They had just drafted one.
yeah, but they knew he wasn't the one. This is what I'm saying. Like they just
It's
drafting
amazing how he
quarterbacks.
wasn't the one, but since he's gotten traded to the Packers, he's done well while he was over there.
Yeah, because he's a backup. You
Hmm.
know,
Mm.
Yeah.
listen,
Oh,
the
here you
backup
go.
is gonna be all right. Because not much is expected from him. You know what I mean? And if you notice with Green Bay when they had the backup in, they were handing the football off. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. The Raiders they do some strange things, but they got some new people in. They got some new people over there, and I think they're thinking a little different this time.
Well,
So
I
We'll
I
see.
I I appreciate that take. That's a very interesting take. I'm just going to lay it here with the Raiders. If somehow they don't pick a wide receiver with that first pick, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, so name me a Raiders wide receiver. Your
uh,
answer is going to be Jacoby Myers. Now,
yep,
name me another one.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. How
yeah.
if they escape the top 10 of this draft without a viable wide receiver, I don't know what they're thinking over there, and that's what drives me crazy about all these mocks with Genty going to the Raiders. Raiders just done picked a top 10 running back and let him walk out the door a year ago. I understand you might,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I understand you might want a running back, but you're just gonna let him walk out the door. What's the point of what's the point of drafting him in the top 10?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Wait in a deep draft and get your running back a little bit later on. Get your wide receiver. You don't have any wide receivers. But hey,
Right.
I'm just sitting here in Canada scratching my head laughing at the Raiders. It's really what
But
it is.
yeah, man, the Raiders, like I said, man, their look has to change, man, because they've drafted at every position. They've gotten some very, very good players,
They
but
do.
they just never seem to work for them.
Well, it hurts when you draft a tight end with your top 150 pick 2 years in a row. Like, what are you guys doing? I understand Brock Bowers is a he's a one-on-one, like he is. Like
Hmm.
he's his own thing. But Michael Myers was really good, and you drafted him in the second round the year before. Why would you be? Why wouldn't you just trade back or do something different? You have a tight end, and he's real good. Like Michael Myers is going to go to a team in a year or so and light it up. I'm just gonna put it out there. In the meantime, he's kind of just sitting behind my Brock Bowers now. What a waste of top, top 100 draft capital. Like, what are
Well,
you
we
doing?
got look who we talking about, man. The
Yeah,
Raiders.
Well,
yeah.
they might run a lot of 12, and they might have more double tight. They might use more double tight end sets this coming year. So
They're gonna have to. You know what I'm saying? Like they gotta run a whole bunch of 12 now. That's what you got. That's why Luke Getz. Well, man, maybe it's. I'm not talking. Just blame it on Luke Getzey. It's Luke Getzey.
there you go. There you go.
It worked for us, right?
Look, look, kids will tell you when that hire was made. What did I say, kids? I said, why? Why would you bring on Getsy after you just saw the debacle in
Brother,
Chicago?
I
But
But to
knew
me,
the
again,
second that happened that Antonio Pierce was getting fired. Like the
oh, we knew
moment
that.
he hired Luke Getz, it was like, oh man, you
It's a
just threw
wrap.
your whole job out the window, dog.
but to
Remember, I
me,
said this. Remember,
Gesty,
kids, I said he's one and done. He's
to
one and
me,
done. He's
Gesty
gonna
was
be
better
out.
than Shane Waldron, man.
Oh
I
my
wish I could argue with
God,
that.
bro.
Wish I could argue with that. To be honest with you, so the one little thing that I'll give Luke Getzey props for, and it has like nothing to do with this. Luke Getzey had like a special place in his heart for a certain wide receiver who's a superstar now, and he found him, brought him to high school when he was coaching high school, helped him out in college, groomed him. This kid makes it to the NFL, and he is a superstar. Nobody saw it coming. I was really hoping he would sort of find his way to Chicago, and his name is Puka Nacua. Crazy. I just happened to select him a little bit late, the Rams, and look what he's doing over there in LA. So,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Luke Getzey actually has some level of track record. Shane
Yeah,
Waldron,
he should be a
I don't know
receivers
what
coach.
happened.
He should be a
Maybe
receivers coach.
he was
He
a
was.
receivers coach, right?
Yep.
He should go
That's
back.
the
He should
Devontae
go back
Adams.
to being should go back to being a receivers coach. That seems to
Yeah,
be
you're
his
probably right.
niche.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, what do I know, man? I'm just a host on a podcast. I don't know.
No, you're bang on though, man. Devontae Adams would tell you the same thing too, man. Yup, that's it. I give him a whole bunch of props, but yeah, that offensive coordinator situation did not pan out very well for him in any location. So, is what it is. Thank goodness he's
Yeah.
gone.
Oh my God, yes. As well as the other used car salesman that we had for offensive coordinator. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Again, nothing against used car salesmen. You guys are amazing. That guy
Man,
he was horrible.
let's
But he has a job now, so let's see what he
he's in the
does at
Super
his
Bowl.
new home.
Mm-hmm. There's still some more. There's some other interesting humanity in at Ohio State that we haven't touched on, like Seth McLaughlin at center.
Center, yeah. He's coming off an injury, correct?
Yeah.
Achilles?
But
Yeah.
you know, we could always use center depth. I say that now, but maybe we don't need it considering we've got somebody else who's injured. What's his name?
Dahlman.
One more time?
Dahlman?
No, not Dahlman. But who's shoot, man.
Kramer?
Stromberg?
No. Stromberg, you got it. Yeah, Stromberg.
I like him.
Me too. I liked him.
I like him.
Scouting him coming in, he
out of
looked
Arkansas,
like the real,
yeah,
he looked like the real deal coming out of Arkansas.
He had a back injury though, man. Those are kind of tough to call, especially in the position that he plays.
Oh man. Well, I saw him just the other day, just doing some crazy squats, pushing a whole bunch of iron. So hopefully he gets back at it and gets the opportunity sooner than later, so that maybe, I'll say maybe he's our center of the future and or backup center for the long term, because Dahlman's still pretty young, man. You know what I mean? They're paying him a lot of money. He's not an old man. He can be here for a minute. He can be here for a while.
Yeah, man. So, man, listen. This thing is so unpredictable. You just never know. But, we all can be hopeful But what I caution people is just, what I'm saying, listen, we have a whole lot of issues everywhere else. We don't have to OD necessarily on the O line, as much as people would want to. In my opinion, like Bishop said, what do I know? But going, because there's some people that want to pick an offensive lineman in every pick we got. Like, come on, dog. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. It's never that serious. No one thinks like that. There's no team that thinks like that. But we're gonna be the ones that do it, of course, because
See,
we're traumatized of what we've seen. You know what I'm saying? By the
it's so
past,
true. You're
right?
nailing it.
Yeah, like no one thinks like that, and I get sick. I get sick of listening to it, bro. To be honest with you, we all understand that O line is a need, but no one ODs their draft with offensive linemen. No one does.
Well, the facts is the top 150 of this draft is so stacked with talent. Like
Mm-hmm.
it really and truly is. You can get your offensive tackle with pick number 39 or 41 easily.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
And he's high
absolutely.
caliber, a big upgrade over your fifth round pick, right? Like this is what I'm trying to say. That also goes for your edge rusher too. One of those two
Mm-hmm.
selections
Yeah.
can be that dominant edge. So now you've basically shored up your trenches for time moving forward.
Yeah, I
What
mean
do
a
you do at
dominant
10?
edge, not just a dominant edge, but a dominant edge that fits the scheme.
Big time.
That one word, a lot of people, they look past it. Fit is very important
Yeah,
because a guy can have all the athletic ability, he can have all the technique, but if he doesn't fit, it's not gonna work.
that's it.
Right.
Leonard Floyd is an example of this, of
Perfect
exactly what you're
example.
talking about. So you can find that in the second round. But again, early in the second round, 39, 30, 41, you can find that high caliber elite level. And again, it just brings us back to the first pick we have. What do you do at 10? And
That's that's
honestly,
that's what I was just getting ready to go with, kids, which is that's why that pick is so important because for those who do want to OD on the offensive line or on the trenches, period, taking that pick and trading back so you can pick up a couple extra picks within the first 75. Come on, man. Now,
Hmm.
now you really cooking. Now you've addressed you've addressed your starting lineup, you've addressed your depth, and you feel and you're able to still fill other holes in other areas on the team, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why I say me personally, I see us trading back as long as that one guy that's graded high on the board as our number one guy is off the board.
bang on, right? Like I'm sure there's two guys. Like I said earlier on, I would assume, or at least my personal big board. I'm talking Ashton Genty. I'm talking Mason Graham. Those would be the two guys that I would be looking at. I'm also going to throw Will Campbell as another potential blue chipper who could
Hmm.
fall out of that top 10. If those three guys fall out of the top 10, I understand them making the selection immediately. I get it.
Hmm.
If they
Now,
don't, if they're selected and they're gone, what do? You
Mm.
have to get the hell out of there, man. Get out of
right.
Yeah.
10, get some more capital, get yourself a defensive tackle a little bit further back, get a safety further back, get you know what I mean? Do
Hmm.
whatever it is you're going to do. You're just going to add two more high caliber elite level players that fit your scheme.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just think about now. There are some outliers, okay. Before someone kills me, there are some outliers. But if you think about the greatest, the greatest guys in the trenches, they needed an offense. Reggie White was in Philly. They had one of the best defenses ever, but they never won because their offense was inept.
Yeah.
Bruce Smith never got a Super Bowl, and they also had a crew over there. They've been a bunch of times, but they never won because they couldn't score enough points. Dallas Cowboys, they won. They had great defenses too, but they also had great offense. San Francisco 49ers, they won. They had great defenses, but they also had great offense. We need to get this offensive thing jumped off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So one hand can help the other. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
I do, and I think really where you're headed is like it's run game, man. They need that, and
that's
you know,
key. That's key.
they need it has to be an fu stop me run game. Stop me. I'm going to run it. This is how I'm going to run it. Stop me from doing it because we're going to do it all day long. You know what I mean? And
And
the
right
best part
until you
about it
do,
is it takes.
and until you do, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
You
run
know what
this
I mean? And
football.
when you do, we're put it over top of your head,
There you
and that
go.
takes the weight off the shoulders
There
of the
you
young
go.
king, right? The young king there. It takes the weight off his shoulders and it puts it squarely in the hands of a running back, and they need to share that weight, and that's the problem. Last year Caleb was throwing bombs on first down, and that's just crazy
Yeah, like he'll have like we'll have possessions where we'll come out and do three passes in a row.
in a row. Yeah,
Come on, man.
what are you doing?
That's not even Chicago. That's not even Chicago Bears football.
No.
Like,
That's the
let's be
first time I ever
real.
seen
Like,
that. You're right, bro. It's the first time I ever seen that in Chicago. First time.
and listen, man, we can blame the 60 plus sacks all on the O line and the coaching, but if you run the ball more, that
Yep.
sack total wouldn't be as high.
Yep.
Right.
It wouldn't be as high. It just wouldn't be. And people say, "Oh, you can't run without an offensive line."
Okay.
There are some guys that did it.
You're damn straight there are. There's a lot of them, and man, when I when I look at Genty, man, and I got to say it like when I watch this kid, it was clear again. He's not playing against the same level of competition as other guys. I'll make the caveat there, but they know Boise State's running the ball 90% of the time. There's 8 men in the box all day long. There might be 2 more guys coming screaming down. You know what I'm saying? So it may be 10 guys. The young man put up 2,600 yards. It's a crazy number.
And how many of his O line being drafted? How many of his O line being spoke about in the top 200?
I don't think any of them are. I'm just saying he's a little bit of an anomaly, and I think that anomaly works, and it puts Chicago in a very interesting position where you've got a high caliber quarterback, you retrofit your line, and hopefully that line can support both pass protection and running the ball. Why they're paid the big
Supposed to be able to
bucks.
do.
You know what
Supposed
I
to be
mean?
able to
That's
do
what they're
that.
supposed to be doing. So if they can accomplish that and you have a running back who can do the same, wow, F you, stop me. That's where I'm at, man. And it might be any number of these other backs. It could be Quinshon. It could be Travion. Getting back to the Ohio State love. But I can see them making a very interesting move here with that 10th pick. I
Yeah,
just
man.
can't wait to find out what it really looks like.
Yeah, man. And I honestly believe if a guy with Ashton Genty's credentials play any other position, people would be clamoring. You couldn't you wouldn't be able to keep his face, his his name off of screens, off of podcasts, anywhere. He'll be all over the place. And you listen to these guys when his name is mentioned, it's like they're talking down, like, oh, Ashton Genty, like he's some kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a guy that rushed for 1,500 yards in the Mountain West. You know what I'm saying?
But let's think about this really quick, guys, before we wrap things up. What if, let's just say, because you hear people say, one, you can't draft a running back at number 10. I don't know where that's. I don't see that written in
I'm
stone
gonna give
nowhere.
you like some science behind that, but keep going. I'll give you some science behind it after.
So my thought is this, and again, tonight I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Let's just say he's available at 10, but because most say you can't draft a running back at 10, we take someone else. Whether it's an offensive, whether it's a tackle, whether it's a
Hmm.
defensive tackle or a DN
Edge. Hmm.
edge, and later on in the season, that gentleman that you chose not to take because it's not conventional to take a running back at 10 is lighten it up. What is the conversation going to be then amongst Bears fans who's like, well,
You
well, normally you wouldn't draft a running back at 10. He's just happened to be having a great season. What do
man,
you say to that?
man, you already know how these people gonna act, man. You already know. You already know. We should have. He was right there. We should have. We should have. You know how it's gonna go. You know how it's gonna go. But you know what I say to that? Listen, don't let these rules dictate what you feel like you need to do for your team, right? And everybody talks about, oh, the way Detroit did it. If you go back and look at some of Detroit's draft, they didn't go and flood that draft up with old linemen. You see in some drafts, they drafted linebackers in the first round. They drafted wide receivers at 12, running backs at 12, cornerback at 3. They built it up over time. It wasn't an instant thing. Yeah, they drafted the one great old lineman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was the one most recent. You know what I mean? But they had been drafting these guys since, back when. They didn't just from 2020 till now, they didn't just say, hey, we're gonna build an O line. No. They drafted all around. They drafted Jameson Williams was a 12 pick in the first round. So was Gibbs. The cornerback from Ohio State was drafted number 3.
But see, that's where
And
you're
this
gonna
is
get your
all when
argument.
Ben
But that's where you're
Johnson
gonna
was
get your
there
argument,
now.
though, D Nice. That's where you're gonna get your argument. You said
Huh?
12. That's where you're gonna get your argument. 12th pick, not 10, but 12th.
Listen, man. Listen.
So trust me, you come on. Come on. Let's be honest. I'm a Bears fan. We're all on here. We're all Bears
Uh-huh.
fans. People in the chat, we're all Bears fans. I'm gonna be first to say that um, I might need to seek counseling, considering all that we've been through as a Bears fan. So I feel like maybe you know some of our angst about who should be drafted when and where is because of all the trauma we've gone through as Bears fans. I
Well,
mean,
so
we've
there's
been through
that.
it. I mean, we've been abused, man. We've literally been abused.
There's that. There's general Bears fan trauma.
Mhm.
Here's the science I was talking about a little bit before, right? So if you draft a left tackle, edge rusher, quarterback, in 4 years, you're going to be paying any one of those guys upwards of $20 million.
Mhm.
This is the science, right?
Yeah.
Those three particular positions. Wide receiver also factors into similar numbers. We just paid Jalen Johnson similar numbers, about 18 mil. You're paying big money for those 5 positions now. Now I've gone to 5 positions. Running back after 4 years, you're probably paying him $10 million, which is less than 50%, if not, a fair amount less than a quarterback, like a lot less than a quarterback.
Hmm.
That's the difference, right? So Saquon just, again, a top pick, went to free agency. I think he made about 10 million, like he made less than 10 mil per year on his contract. Just facts. So this is where the running back selection becomes actually questionable because of how devalued, and it's truly been devalued. That particular position is devalued by way of dollars and cents, not by way of play on the field, right? Play on the field, the impact that this running back, not just this running back, let's go back to Saquon Barkley, who's ran the Eagles into the Super Bowl. Yes, Saquon has been hurt, but let's now move over to Christian McCaffrey, who's also been hurt, ran his team into the Super Bowl. Those are two guys, right? Those like back-to-back two top-heavy running back selections taking their team to the Super Bowl because of their
or not
impact.
making it because they didn't play, or not making it to the playoffs because they didn't play.
Thank you.
McCaffrey. McCaffrey was not there this year, and the 49ers are like a shell of themselves.
Yeah, 1,000,000,000%, right? So this is what you have to look at to some degree, is the actual football impact. And I don't think that has reduced at the running back position. Tell me Derrick Henry is not the MFing man, because he is. Period.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are some backs in this game that completely change the way your team can be defended. You know what I mean? Like it changes that dynamic. So I don't have a problem with. I have less of a problem selecting a running back in this scenario because all the holes are basically filled or will be by pick 41.
Yeah.
Right? So you can get that impact player up front at number 10.
And still get what you need.
Impact.
Yep. Yeah. Now, I'm going to take you guys back a little bit. Okay.
Let's go.
This just a little bit, not very far. There's a running back. He's at the end, but he doesn't get talked about a lot. And he was drafted, if I'm not mistaken, number 4 by the Cowboys. That's Ezekiel Elliott. When he was drafted number 4 by the Cowboys, the Cowboys a year prior had a 4-win season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Ezekiel Elliott ran the Cowboys into a 14 and 15 win season with a rookie quarterback, a rookie 4th round quarterback in Dak Prescott.
Still trying to figure it out.
And of course, Prescott has matured and become a better player. But that first season, the Cowboys' offense was carried by Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes.
If you don't believe me out there, Google's your friend. You can go check it out. So, the NFL devalued the position because of money. And, but you cannot devalue the position when it comes down to production. Now, of course, you're going to get guys that get drafted early and ain't going to cut the cake. Happens at every position, not just the running back position.
True.
Right.
But for some reason, these guys want to jump off a cliff if a running back doesn't pan out. You know what I'm saying? After drafting all these receivers that don't pan out, because we see a lot of those that don't pan out. We even see a bunch of offensive linemen that don't pan out as well, and D linemen that don't pan out, and they're drafted early. And we ain't gonna talk about the quarterbacks.
Right.
The most valued position in the NFL. We're not gonna talk about them, but we just know that it's some busts that get picked early and don't pan out.
And one of the problems I think that we need to touch on, and I want to address New Harper. Thank you for chiming in tonight. He was saying that we're missing the fact that the Cowboys had the best offensive line. Yes, they did at that time. But even with that being said, where they made their mistake is the fact that something that they were known for doing that they had gotten away from, because they started going more for more skilled players. They got away for drafting and adding to the offensive line. That's why Zeke's production fell off too, because the offensive line was already aging when he came in, and he actually caught his offensive line on the back end of
Mm-hmm.
their success versus had he didn't catch them when they were really rolling. So unfortunately, they didn't fill in the depth behind the guys to why his actual production, I feel, really fell off because the offensive line couldn't block their own shadow.
Right. Now, he's saying the Cowboys had the best offensive line, but when they had when they had the 4-win season the year before, they had the same offensive line. It didn't change. The only thing
Very
changed is that the
true.
running back came in there.
You're right.
You know,
And,
the Cowboys traditionally always had a very good offensive line. You know, Philadelphia traditionally always had a great offensive line. Same for Kansas City. And we
but you
can
know
even
what?
speak to Green Bay.
But you know what, Darius? And I mean, and I love the fact that you're hitting on the fact that all these different teams had great offensive lines. But let's go back to something that you touched on. And this is I don't care whether it's Genty or any other running back in this particular draft, since we're talking about this draft. If they don't fit the scheme, I don't care how good of a runner they are, their success is going to be minimal. So it's really about what your scheme is going to be, and are you drafting to your scheme? So going back to the players that were to the teams that you just touched on in terms of having great offensive lines, their running backs also fit their schemes. So it's imperative that not only do we draft properly with regard to making sure we're filling in the gaps far as our trenches, but again, this goes back to something I've been preaching since last off season all the way to now. What is our identity going to be?
Mm-hmm.
We have an idea. So now we need, because we don't have a clue of what this scheme is going to look like, guys. One thing for sure, I don't think it's going to look anything like Detroit.
But we are gonna run the football for sure.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just gonna say, like
yeah.
in that respect, there will be a lot more running going on, and there will be right, and the running back will be utilized quite frequently in the pass game.
Hmm.
I can see a lot more targets for Cole Kmet coming out of the woodwork for sure. He's one of the few players, one more time, that the Ben Johnson went out of his way to talk about. So that tight end is going to be used. We saw the tight end used quite frequently in Detroit. Running backs are going to be used very much too. So the worry is like DeAndre Swift is that kind of running back and does fit the scheme. The worry is just that like he used to be in Detroit and they cut bait. He used to be in Philadelphia with that offensive line you were just talking about, and
And
they
they
cut
cut bait.
bait. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's our guy for the future. And in that respect, I think a running back will find his way to Chicago in this draft. In my opinion, the question is
Mhm.
just: do you do it
Who?
at 10 or do you
Yeah.
do it at 72?
Right.
This is how bad.
And who's that guy going to be? Who is that guy going to be based off of
Mhm.
what is
Yeah.
the scheme going to be that we're looking to run, that we're
Yeah.
looking to actually have? So I mean, yes, I know we was focusing on Genty because that's the running back that everybody is speaking about, being that potential difference maker for just about any team if if they were to choose him. But we just have to be realistic and say it's going to really be predicated on what that scheme is going to be, and based on that, that's who they're going to target. They're going to, and I'm pretty sure I think they probably got about probably three backs that they have graded high,
Two, yeah,
kind of
two of them we talked about.
kind of a 1A, and then a 2. You know, in terms of that guys that they see, if this guy's available, we got to take him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm gonna tell you how bad they do my boy, man. I mean, I ain't saying Genty gonna come in here and be the second coming of sweetness, but for some of these pundits out here trying to push the fact that we should draft a tight end at 10 when we
Yeah,
already have a top 10 tight end
I didn't even want to go there.
to
D nice.
avoid
I didn't want to go there.
to avoid drafting a running back, to avoid drafting a 2,600-yard running back is ludicrous, bro.
Yeah, that's cool.
Diabolical. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Wow. Look,
It-
I like Tyler Warren. I like him. He brings just a little bit more to the table than Cole Kmet does, especially in the blocking game. So, if Genty's gone, I won't be mad, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not really trying to I'm not even really trying to go down this particular road.
Not at 10. Not at 10.
At 10, I like there's other really good tight ends that we could get in this draft. Like I say, this draft is actually so deep at so many positions.
So many.
I haven't seen it like this in quite some time, but even at the tight end position, you can get yourself an Elijah Arroyo a little bit further back, or Jalen Conyers much further back, and he's more of an H back type of deal. But there's guys there. There's a laundry list of tight ends if you really want it. I don't know. Oh, New Harper is saying he'd rather go with Shamar Stewart. I got a big question mark on Shamar because he has no stats. Like there's no proof to the pudding, but the pudding's made of solid steel. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
my guy's cut up, built, has all the measurables you could possibly have.
but no production.
No production of any kind. No production at all. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
That's not a guy you draft in your top 10, man.
no, he's a developmental project, right? Is the way that I look at it. And he may develop into Myles Garrett. Don't get me wrong. There's just no proof of this. There's no
Right.
This is you're shooting darts in the dark. You know what I mean? But
yeah, again, like even with Abdul Carter, like if it was some way or shape or form that he failed to us, and we drafted him outside instead of Genty, I wouldn't be upset. Now, I'm not as high on Carter as most. I think he's an excellent player. He had an excellent season, but I'll understand because this is a guy that can come in and make an immediate impact.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
But drafting a Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, I like Kelvin Banks. But to draft these guys and talking about you gonna sit them, nah, man. Nah.
Yeah, that don't make any sense.
Nah.
That doesn't make any sense at all. I'm so with you there, man.
Nah.
Totally with you. And I had to go through, and we did our show yesterday. I did Extra Sauce yesterday. 8 p.m., 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. I did my show yesterday, and I had to sort of go through who my blue chippers are, because that started to make a little bit more sense out of that top 10. Let's say top 20. But I have a few blue chippers, and hopefully these are the same guys that the Bears will be looking at. Mm-hmm. Most of them are going to be gone by the time 10 shows up. So what do? You got to look at whoever might have fallen out. If it's one of those blue chippers that, I think they might share with me, you draft that guy. If they're all gone, you got to trade back to the area where the next couple blue chippers in that first round are. And those other guys to me is like a Tyleek. You're saying maybe further back. I think he's up there. I say Nick Emmanwori. That was the guy that I was trying not to say before. He's that guy. I think he's that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's that good at safety. You might want to trade back and aim for a Nick Emmanwori.
Yeah.
Josh Simmons was on that list for me, but with the injury and at the position, I just wouldn't do it there. So I'm looking for a farther trade back if that's a scenario. But yeah, man, there's once you sort of square away who your blue chip talent are, think about who needs what.
Mm-hmm.
Guys who are probably going to fall out potentially one more time is maybe Mason Graham,
Yeah.
maybe Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
You know, those are probably
And
the two guys who potentially could fall out of that top 10 to what.
and and you know, I play the devil's advocate with people when it comes down to Genty a lot of times because I want them to hear how they sound when they talk about him compared to these other blue chip guys in these other positions. Because of course we can get another running back in the second round. Hell,
Yes.
we can get another defensive end in the second round too. We can get another left tackle in the second round.
Yep.
You know, Kenneth Grant, we could possibly get in the second round. How much of a drop off is he from Mason Graham?
Not very much at all. Right?
No.
Like not much at
The
all.
same thing these people try to tell me about these other backs in these drafts. We can say about other positions.
Yeah.
But
I look.
if you,
It comes down to individual's flavor, man.
yeah,
You know. And that's what it really comes down to. Everybody has their flavor. Everybody has their, what they like. Again, the key word that we used earlier is scheme. Who's going to fit the scheme?
hmm
Unfortunately, we don't know what the scheme is going to look like because this is going to be our first year with this head coach. We can only kind of go off of what we've seen, what he's put on display at Detroit. But because he has a different style quarterback and this is his team and he can put it together how he wants it, we don't know. We got to sit back and wait. That's what makes this draft that much more interesting because
yeah,
we the level the element of the unknown. We don't know.
yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. But
Neither does the
we've
rest
been
of the
saying for the
NFL.
last 3 years, impose we trust. We got to shift it now. And in Johnson, we trust.
Um,
And
like they're
we got
saying, neither does the rest of the NFL know what that scheme looks
no.
like either.
Yeah,
And you
There's a bit of an advantage there in itself.
absolutely yes.
and and
Yes.
if it doesn't work out with the players that we draft, whoever it is, either the guy I want, the guy you guys want, the guy they want. If that guy doesn't work out, when does the onus fall on the player? Because I'm the
Oh,
type of guy I think development is on the player. Now, coaches tell you what you need to do. They show you where you need to improve. But at the end of the day, it's up to you
Yeah.
as the player to make that happen. GMs, coaches, they pick players, they fall in love with players for what these players show that they can do.
Hmm.
A lot of coaches come in and try to make an alley cat a mountain lion, but if you stick to the guy that you've seen on tape, and when you drafted him, you said he fits perfectly in our scheme instead of saying, I'm going to make him fit perfectly in our scheme, you come out a lot better.
yeah.
So I think Poles and company, they're going to do what they're supposed to do. Ben Johnson's going to add input or vice versa, however they got it worked out up there. But listen, at the end of the day, the player going to have to come here and be ready to be the player that he's shown to be on film.
That's
And
it.
if he can't do that, it
Look,
ain't always the GM fault.
on that one, man, I'm gonna be honest. You just dropped the mic, brother. You just
You
dropped the
did.
mic.
You
You
made
just
me
dropped
think
the mic.
about poor Noah Sewell, man. I had to really think about Noah Sewell and try and figure out what his measurables and all that. He definitely fits what Dennis Allen would want, but
Mm-hmm.
has he developed? Is that on the previous coaching staff or is it on Noah Sewell?
Right.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Look, we had two teams to tell us all what DeAndre Swift is. Two teams have already told us what he is.
This is true.
Two teams, two different schemes. Now, granted, in Detroit, he was hurt a lot, so I think that led to a lot of that. That led to his initial
Yeah,
release.
but one thing in
You
common
know what
with
I'm
that
saying?
though is the our now coach was his offensive coordinator.
Right.
Does not help.
So again, why are we just coming into the season leaning on that and hoping in the second, third, or fourth round we can get another gadget guy when we got a balanced guy in the first round, a balanced stud that we can pick in the first round that can do everything, pass him up to go get he runs harder between the tackles. But can he run outside the tackles? Oh, he doesn't have a lot of speed, but you know. Now, as much as I like these Ohio State guys, we got to be real. Shit, they ran behind a hell of an offensive line.
Yep.
And people want to tell me about the holes that Genty ran through. Huh, you better watch some Ohio State tape.
Holes. I've seen, like I'm telling you, I've seen there's a few snaps where he's dead to rights.
Yeah.
There's no he should not be getting out of this, and he's taking the ball to the hole. There's a few of them. Like there's multiple there's multiple clips like this where again you are just watching a sea of opposing jerseys, and it kind of squares up behind Genty, and his lateral movement, his jump cut is insanity.
Yes.
It leaves people in the dust. And that alone to me is something super special that I don't see with a lot of other backs. I just don't.
That's all I be saying, man. That's all I be saying. That's all. And there's a reason that Marion Hampton and Genty, I hold so in such high regard
Mm-hmm.
because they had the most production while playing with not so great offensive lines, not so great skill positions, other skill position players, not so great quarterbacks. But
Yeah.
we can even talk
Oh,
about
that's
Caleb Johnson.
exactly. You're right.
We can even talk about Caleb Johnson. Okay, I like Caleb Johnson too, but he played in Iowa. They don't have the best quarterback. They never have. Their skill position players are not the best either. But they always strong in the trenches. Always.
Hmm.
Like I
That's a
can't
big one.
think of the last Iowa quarterback I can think about is Tavian Banks. Ain't that crazy?
That's where you're going back a bit.
Oh man, dude. Jeez,
Well, Tavian Banks was the running back, but the quarterback was damn, what's his name? I see it, but when Tavian Banks was playing, this is what I'm saying. Like Iowa has running backs that flash in the pan. Running backs, their trenches are always strong. They're known for their tight ends. You know what I mean? But when you think about Boise State and North Carolina, I know North Carolina got a guard. I think he's rated like in the 200s. I think his last name is Lumpkin.
Yeah. Okay. So
I like him.
he's good. He's nice actually. He's
Yeah,
in the
I like
draft.
him. But he probably end up being an undrafted free agent than the draft pick. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's not a human being on this. I'm just like as you're talking, I'm looking up the Boise State offensive line, man, and none of these names are recognizable to me. I don't think any of these guys, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that any of these guys are going high level in the draft after your running back puts up 2,600 yards
That's all I'm
behind you.
saying, man. That's all I'm saying.
That says a lot.
And
Yeah.
let's not act like the SEC don't have no PE teachers or future doctors playing on their football teams. You know what I'm saying? Let's
Yeah.
not act like the Big Ten don't have no future mailman or production workers playing on their football team. Like, come on, man. Like, let's not
Wow.
do that. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that.
Oh
Now we
man.
know what the percentages are. We know that the SEC, they have the most athletes and things of that nature. We get that. Big Ten has great players. It's great players everywhere. But I never heard this scrutiny about Big Ben Roethlisberger. I never heard this scrutiny about Steve McNair.
Mm.
Like, we didn't hear this scrutiny. What maybe we did about Walter Payton and Jerry Rice. And those last three pay their HBCUs. Okay? Come on, man. If you can play football, you can play football.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Bottom
not going to
line.
pan out.
Right.
Everybody's not going to pan out. That's just the nature of the beast. But you can't turn away from a stud just because of the way you feel or the way that they say you shouldn't do. They say you shouldn't draft a running back in the first round. They do. They said that.
Well,
But then turns around and say, well, the Raiders gonna get Gentry at 6. How are the Raiders so qualified, but we not?
Mm.
We got a quarterback. We got other skill positions. The Raiders got a tight end.
two of them.
2 of them.
It's so true, man.
But
And then you look at
Gentry is better off with the Raiders than he is with us. Man, get out of here, man.
crazy talk. And
Come
then you
on,
look at
man.
what did Ben Johnson do a year ago, and everybody clowned him for it. And then they went to the NFC Championship. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically how that shook out.
And
Ha,
the reason why they lost the NFC Championship game because they went away from the best weapon.
they stopped running the ball. You're so like bang on too. It's so
Come
true.
on, man.
So true. And that's what anybody who watched the game will tell you. Yeah, they put the ball back in they put it back in Jared Goff's hands, and that was the end of the football game.
The
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks
Yeah.
cost themselves a Super Bowl because they went away from the best weapon.
That's it.
Come on, man.
Well,
That's it.
we are literally less than a month away at this point from the
Getting
draft.
close, man.
So time is ticking. Um, these draft boards they're really now they're going through these draft boards with a fine tooth comb. I think at this point, within probably the next week and a half, most of the draft boards are going to pretty much be sold up at this point, because most of the pro days will be completed and all the evaluations would have been done. So only time would tell, fellas. Only time would tell.
On the
Getting
time
Um,
close.
tell.
we want to first thank everybody that's been on the show with us tonight, that's been hanging in there with us for well past an hour at this point. Um, and it's been amazing. We started out talking about the Ohio State Pro Day, and then we tapered off into just talking Bears football. So before we get out of here, let my man D Nice give his pleasantries to the chat, as well as let Kedz kick it off with a few things that he would like to say before we get out of here. But from me to everybody out there, I want to thank you guys first and foremost. Do me a favor though, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this content. But I'm gonna get out of the way. I've enjoyed my time with these guys tonight, as always. And I know we're going to be talking more about that number 10 pick as the draft approaches. Um, but with that, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take us on out of here. So I'm going to start it off with my man Kedz, and then I'm going to let D Nice round us out.
Rock and roll, Bishop. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me there, D Nice. Always good chopping up with both you guys. Please like, share, subscribe. Take a look at Kedz the Canuck here on YouTube. Give me some subscriptions. I need as many as I can get, and I will basically beg you for them. That's about as far as I'm going. Outside of that, I did see a little notice from my guy Illinois Jones. Shout out to you. The chat was bumping. Shout out to Crooked Commish. There's a whole bunch. Ollie Chapman, Trapper Keeper. There's a bunch of folks out there. But Illy Jones, he's saying, where the Bears weren't? The Boise State Pro Day. Well, guess what? They were. but in a bit of a different capacity, because this is
Ooh.
exactly how I would play it if I wanted Ashton Genty. I wouldn't send the whole team to Boise State and let the world know that I'm looking at Ashton Genty. I would send hoodied up Eric Bieniemy, the running backs coach, all by himself over to Boise State, and that's exactly what happened. All right, so just
Oh,
to put
shucky
that out
ducky.
there, you don't want to put you want to put all eyes on Ohio. They got 2 running backs. They got a safety, a couple offensive linemen you might be interested in. Everybody got to go there, but you definitely need to send a running backs coach where the running back is at. Notice a running backs coach was not in Ohio State today. I'm just putting it out there. So you got that's exactly how I would do it. That is a little bit of corporate espionage, if you will. And good looking out to Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears for doing it. But one more time, check me out on Wednesday nights for some extra sauce. We do it up large on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Check me out on Sunday, Nomad at Night. And otherwise, check me out on my channel at Kedz the Canuck. And check these guys out right here on CSP. Mad love to both of you guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Always,
Peace,
kid.
peace, peace.
You know this.
Likewise,
You
brother.
know you got a place over here with us, brother, all the time, brother. Love chopping it up with you.
Indeed, indeed. First and foremost, man, thank you guys for hanging out with me for 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's been a treat. It's always good, man. One time for y'all. Very much appreciative. To the chat, for the people watching elsewhere, thank you guys for hanging on with us and kicking it with us tonight. I know we went kind of long, but y'all guys were good sports and hung in with us. The chat's always bumping. Much respect to you guys as leaving comments, even though you know what I'm saying. Some may be negative or be positive towards the points we make. It's cool. We enjoy the banter. We love it. It's healthy. And because we know we all want the same thing for this football team at the end of the day. So, big thanks to you guys. Appreciate Tracks for laying down the foundation for us to get it
Shut up,
in.
Tracks, man. I forgot. He'll get at me later on. So big shout. Shout outs to Tracks, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
man.
tracks.
For the new people that's checking us out or has checked us out tonight, please like and subscribe. You'll love it here. I promise you. We're going to keep bringing this content. We're going to keep making it interesting, because this is a fan show. We realize how much how much Chicago fans mean to the Bears and to this network. So you guys keep watching, keep coming for the new people. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And on that, I'm out.
Peace and love, everybody. Bear down.
Bear down.
Yay, yay.